There's no reason to do a clap sync anymore. That was performative. Hi, my name is Nick. On this channel I go by Common, and today I'm going to show you how I installed a capture mod in a Nintendo 3DS. You see, the Nintendo 3DS holds this weird position where it's the only Nintendo console since the NES that doesn't have a really good way to display it on a television, or record it, or stream it. It's sort of the only outlier in this regard. Except for the Virtual Boy, but who cares? It's the Virtual Boy. No one's ever played one for real. Anyway, because of the fact that there's no native way to play 3DS games and record them or stream them, and Nintendo keeps taking down emulators because they're a vindictive, spiteful company for some reason, I don't know what's up with that, the only good way to record or stream this console is to install your own mod, or have someone else do it for you. I looked at the prices of pre-modded consoles on eBay, laughed a little, and said, no, I'll do that myself, thank you. So I ordered a kit from 3dscapture.com. This is a Loopy kit. Loopy is apparently the name of the person that made it. That's about all I know. The website does look like it was made in 1995, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's a very reliable service. I think I got my capture kit 4 days after I ordered it, somewhere in that. So, enough with the preamble. Let's take a look at how this console came together for me. Alright, what I have here is a new Nintendo 3DS. And I know what you're going to say. There's scratches on that. That thing's not new. No, Nintendo is very silly sometimes. So this device is called the new Nintendo 3DS XL. It's a really nice 3DS. The screens are very clean on it. It's basically just kind of beautiful in its own right. And I just bought it. And why did I buy this? Very simple. 3DS capture. It's something that I've wanted for, quite frankly, years, and I've never managed to get my hands on until right this moment. With this capture card, which I'm going to have to install, and it's going to be a process, I'm sure, I'll be able to finally capture and or stream 3DS games, as well as DS games, for that matter. They're really the only Nintendo games that I don't have the ability to stream right now, and that's very frustrating. So, this, which I bought from 3dscapture.com, will fix that problem for me. It was $120 for the kit. I paid $200 for this. I actually got it at a pretty good deal. These things are expensive nowadays. So at this point, let's install it. Some of the screws are hidden by the little feet here, so we got to take those out. I just want to make sure we don't lose those, so we're keeping everything in the lid here as a parts tray. Now, all of the Phillips head screws that are around the outside here, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're going to have to take all of those out. I switched to this little Weeha screwdriver about halfway through. It just seems to work a little better for these screws in particular. As we see now, it's starting to separate a little. And the most important thing about this part of the process is that there's two ribbon cables. There's one up here, one up here. We don't want to break those. What I'm going to do actually is I'm going to just get in here, spudger, and go ahead and pop that off to the right, pop this off for the left, and that should free the entire back. It should now basically just lift away. And there we go. So one of the most important parts of this mod is the fact that we have to, it's not an option, make a hole right around here for the USB-C port that we're going to be adding in for capture, as well as for basically an additional way to charge it. So we have to trim down some of the plastic out of here, we have to, I believe, just remove this post entirely, and then that will allow us to then make a hole right here where the USB port will sit flush. It's all seems rather straightforward, but I think it's going to take some doing. I have a very strong suspicion here. This is the mod board, and it's going to sit right in here. As you can see, this ribbon cable already over here is already starting to get in our way. So I'm just going to maneuver around it. And yeah, it's going to sit down in here, and the USB port's going to be right there. Meanwhile, the other thing that we're going to have to do is that this board is going to have to come up, and it's actually going to flip out to the top. We're going to have to get under this board, which means we're going to have to unclip a lot of these nice little ribbon cables so we can move it out of the way. There's a central frame right here made of plastic that I'm going to have to clip a piece out of right here to make room for the mod kit. And then we put everything back the way it was, basically. Okay, I'm going to start by taking out the thumbstick. Now I'm just going to take out all the screws that are going to hold down the main board, as well as this little board down here that's for the cartridge slot. This is the next focus piece. Okay, looks like we just gotta cut this guy right about here. And then again right over here. And that's that modification complete. That takes care of that. It's a little rough. I'm gonna file that down a little just for my own sake of mind. I'm sure that is utterly unnecessary. I just don't like rough corners, so that feels a lot nicer. Now we just have to get this cartridge slot put back into place right there, and we gotta put 3 screws in it to keep it in place. Hello there, me from the future here. At this point I stopped talking about what I was doing for some reason. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to install the little interposer ribbon cables like you see here. These are actually pretty straightforward. The first thing you have to do is you just literally attach them to the board like the old one. And then once you check that it's secure, you flip it over. Open up the ZIF connector on the other guy there. And then place, very carefully, of course, the cable from the screen into the extra connector there. Once all the cables are connected together, you have to fold over the new cable so that the connectors lay beside each other. The next thing we have to do is add the next interposing cable. I'm going to plug it into the screen first here. That was really annoying, but we got it. We've got the two interposing ribbons in place now. So that's definitely something. Is it the hardest part of the mod? No, not yet, but we're getting there. So now we're ready to put this all back, basically. Make sure all the ribbon cables are up on top. Okay, so this cable here, this one here, here, that's 3 there. 1, 2, and 3 here. 1, 2, and 3. This cable's off over here doing its own thing. So we're good as far as keeping all of the cables up top. These we have to make sure are kind of like sandwiched in the correct way. Because if we stack up everything like underneath this one port where it's connected, it's going to be too thick. So we have to very carefully make sure that everything is positioned where it needs to be before we start putting screws in. Because it's okay if they're like smushed a little, but if you put too much pressure on these, there's a tendency for them to break. There we go. So that seems pretty good. Sure that's gonna reach. That looks all right. Okay, yeah. We're gonna put a couple screws in place to hold everything, and then we're going to, after that, start putting cables back in. Going to do half the screws to start with here, just because let's flip this back around so I can see it a little easier. Make sure that everything is good and placed properly before we finalize everything, realistically. Okay, but I think we're good. So now it's just a matter of getting everything plugged back in. tendency to give these connectors a little wiggle after I'm done putting them in place to make sure that they're steady and they're going to stay where they should be. Okay, 1, 2, 3. And then this guy up here. I missed one right here. There we go. Perfectly in place. Okay. Now we can put the last 3 screws in. We're leaving this screw right here out. And again, making sure that these are lined up so that this is off to the side of this port. Otherwise, they will be crushed together and it will not actually... Well, it'll cause damage. We don't want that. One thing we don't want is to damage the 3DS. We want to use it for gaming. Okay. So the other thing is I'm using a very delicate touch even when putting the screws in, just to make sure that I'm not going through any of the ribbon cables with the screws. That has been known to happen. It's a very tragic thing when it does happen during some mods. So you just have to make sure you're paying very special and close attention to all of the little details while you're doing work like this. Because again, this is my thumbnail next to one of the ribbon cables. This is very fine work that we're doing. This is one of the boards that one of the cables that I have to solder into place using these contact points. So this is a difficult thing to do. I don't want to shy away from the fact that this is a difficult mod to do. I'm going to set my soldering iron a little lower than I normally would, just for the sake of supreme safety right now, because the pads that I need to solder to are... I need something sharp enough to point. My camera would actually focus it right down in here. These pads right in here. And this is a very, very fine... There's my finger for comparison. So there you go. So the way that we're going to do this is I'm going to get a hobby knife. We're going to scratch a little bit of the metal away from a few of these pads, specifically the ones that I need to solder to, and then I'm going to tin them up. I'm not sure how easy this part is going to be to capture on camera, but we're going to give her a go. Okay, I had to do that off camera because it was driving me insane, but yes, it's all soldered into place, I think. We're gonna find out. Okay, at this point, we've tapped into the audio here. We've got both videos tapped, and so the next thing we need to do is we need to address where we're going to put the USB-C port. I didn't do that. Shut up. Right here. So the next thing we need to do is we need to carve out part of the case right here to make room for the USB port, which is going to go right here. The first thing that we're going to do in order to do that is we're going to get this guy out of the way so that he is safe and no longer in danger. Going to use a little piece of Kapton tape. Done. That's out of the way. we're not accidentally going to cut him, hopefully. Now, I have a couple little pieces of sponge here, which are probably going to go to the wayside. And then I've definitely got this post right here, which is going to get carved out. Yes, this guy's going to get clipped out, and then we're going to have to cut some stuff out of here. We basically just have to whittle down a chunk of space right here, so that this can go right in here where it needs to go. In fact, I'm going to just basically trace around where this is going to need to go. And then basically, yes, from here over to here, and from here over to there, and then there's this little line right here, which means this guy does have to come out of there. We're going to start with some flush cutters to get that post out. Now, I've seen a few different techniques on how to clean out this area and whittle it down. I think realistically for me, what's going to happen is I'm just going to have to do it by hand. I don't have a little Dremel, which is like the recommended route to go. This gets removed, right? Yes, it does. Yeah, you're supposed to basically just Dremel out this whole little area. I don't have a Dremel, so I'm going to basically cut it out, and it's going to take forever, so we might just cut. In fact, yeah, we're just going to cut, and then we'll be back when this is ready. Let's go! So I bought a Dremel, and now I own a Dremel. I should have probably bought a Dremel a long time ago, but I never really could justify it until now. So here we go. Yeah, it's gonna be a process. Yeah, I'm gonna have a learning curve on this. Okay, so this is a very dirty process to do it this way, but it has produced some pretty solid results. I figured it out after a little bit. You just kind of have to be careful and go fairly slow. And yeah, it's hard to tell. It doesn't look that great, but it is shaved down pretty effectively. I'm going to do a little more cleanup around up here, and then we're going to call it. We're going to see if it'll actually fit everything in there. And I'm also going to hit this with a can of duster to really clean it up. So, okay. Starting to put a hole in the case for the USB-C port. I'm a little uncertain about how this one's going to go, but there really should be a little guide you could print off that would make life a lot easier, frankly. But we're already getting there. My biggest screw up is the fact that I put a little hole right here, which sucks. It's going to make this an obvious mod, but at this point I've put a pretty decent sized hole in there. I'm just going to kind of widen it out with a set of files that I have here, and we're just going to keep filing it out until it's big enough to fit a USB-C port. So, okay, I screwed up and put some holes in the bottom of this case. At this point I don't really care. The most important part is the USB-C hole here, and it turned out pretty good. Valiant first effort is what we're going to call this for this mod. As long as it works and I can get video output, honestly, at this point, then I'm going to be happy. So, let's move on to the next bit. Next thing's next. Clear this off a little bit and get this bad boy back here. Now, the next bit is hopefully fairly straightforward. We're going to pop up these two tabs here. And we gotta get this guy plugged in correctly. And flipping these down. And those are both in place now. Next we flip this bad boy over here. Flip up that. Plug in the audio tap cable. And then lock that down. And now this is in place. Now, we got two more cables sticking out the side. Those just get soldered to the power jack in order to provide power via the USB port as well, which is, I must admit, pretty brilliant. This guy opened up, pop. That's in there solidly. Get this bad boy aligned with it, and then put him down in there. Then we got two screws. Okay, that's in place. This is in place. Now at this point, I actually could just put it back together and test it. That would sort of be the best option, I think. But I'm going to make sure that the power is hooked up too. White goes onto this right pin over here, and then black goes onto the left pin. The last thing that really needs done, because this is hooked up and basically set to go, is we got to put it back together. And now we're going to put that right there. And now we're going to route some cables and get everything plugged back in. Okay, it's not fitting back together. So I'm going to take it apart and fix it. Hello, it's me from sometime in the future at this point. Who knows? At this point in the build process, I became annoyed because I couldn't get the DS back together. So I cut the video, I got it back together, I got it to the point where I was ready to test it and see if it would work. We're going to see if this turns on, or if I've broken it forever. Shit. Did you hear the little pop? That means it doesn't work. I freaked out at this point and had no idea what to do. I did some Googling, did some searching just to see if there was any general troubleshooting I could try. And as it turns out, one of the cables was loose on the inside. I just had to take it apart, make sure all the cables were firmly placed where they needed to be, especially those interposing cables and things that I had added to capture the video. And then after I made sure that was all good, I put it back together. It turned on perfect, and now it works, and it is beautiful, and it's fantastic, and it's actually right here in front of me. Look, I can pick it up and show you right here. Look, it's there. There's the USB port. Pop it in right there. It's ready to record. I have the software installed. It works with OBS. Let me show you some of the video that I've recorded using this mod.
Yeah.
Wasn't that incredible? Yes, the mod actually works. It was a little difficult, a little sketchy at times, just because I was really nervous after I got it together that I had broken the damn thing and wasted hundreds of dollars on nothing. But it turns out I was overreacting and worried about nothing. It works. It's good. It's not just good, actually. It's great. In the future, I'd really love to do some like streaming of 3DS games, or maybe record and talk about my thoughts when it comes to them. I will not be playing Nuzlocke. I don't like them. So, don't ask. If I do stream Pokemon games, it'll just be casual playthroughs. So, there you go. Alright, thank you for stopping by, checking it out. I'm at 100 subscribers now, somehow. I don't know how that happened, but thank you, everybody. I really appreciate it. And if you'd like to check out more videos from me, I've made some in the past, and I'm hoping to make a lot more in the future soon here. So, stick around. Oh, and do the likes and subscribes and all that stuff. I always forget to talk about that. But yeah, do that. Do the buttons underneath. Thank you. Bye.